I mean, for me, in the international scale, it possesses Nigerian politics as a complete joke, as a country that is democratic per se, but in principle, but doesn't have real leadership, doesn't have real leaders controlling the executive, doesn't have real leaders controlling the judiciary, doesn't have real leaders controlling the three branches of government. It's looking at it from an international scale. Anybody that looks in will look at Nigeria and think, what kind of democracy are they actually practicing? How does something so undemocratic, how can that happen under somebody's watch? How can that happen when this country is supposed to have leadership that...
So what's the way forward? Like, how can we all as Nigerians in a unified voice really protect this democracy and really exercise that office of the citizen?
I mean, first of all, I think we need to understand that we are one country, one nation. And for me, Nigerians need to wake up and realize that poverty doesn't affect a specific part of Nigeria. Unemployment doesn't affect a specific part. Lack of education, lack of adequate health care, they are not, they're not affecting a specific part of Nigeria, they are affecting the whole of Nigeria. So how do we come together to make sure that the leaders that are leading us are providing us the basic things that they are supposed to, such as security, healthcare, education? How do we come together to hold our leaders accountable and make them understand that if they don't do the things that they are supposed to, because at the moment we're not asking for, personally, I don't think we're asking for too much.
Okay.
If they don't do the things that they are supposed to, we as citizens have the power to vote them out of office come the next election.
Okay, so social media definitely plays a huge role in the polity of this country, but where can we create safe spaces online and offline for people to really express their views and not get into trouble because they're expressing a view that's different from the popular opinion?
You see, the truth is, certain people want to perpetuate themselves in power. So they will try to subvert the system, so that they can hold the advantage. Nelson Mandela had to go to prison for 27 years because somebody had to go to prison. The truth is, they would not allow you create safe spaces, because when you create safe spaces, people can express themselves more. And when we express ourselves, it's a problem. Just like how they supplanted the educational sector, and you have people just going to school because you need to get your certificate and not because you necessarily need to learn anything. Now, what we must do is understand that there are two classes of Nigerians: the political class that hobnob and switch political parties, and the suffering masses of Nigeria. Now, these guys get the very best of Medicare, security, welfare, and the rest of them, while we continue to suffer. I mean, we are under a lot of pressure, and we cover ourselves with the blood, rub, anointing oil, and expect Angel Gabriel to come from heaven with a manual to see us through. What we must do is understand that, I mean, if soldier go, soldier come, 4 years at the max, if you're going to spend for a single tenure. But as a Nigerian, you cannot easily switch from Nigeria and say you want to become Ghanaian. It's a torturous process. I know you can go through that procedure. But if a politician can switch from, the umbrella to the broom in one day, you cannot switch from Nigeria to Ghana in one day. So we must understand that this country belongs to us, and we have a greater responsibility. And looking at the population of Nigeria, 198 million people. If you look at those in the executive arm of government or those in the legislative arm of government, they pale in comparison if you take a percentage summation to the Nigerian people. So why should a handful of people continue to benefit from the dividends of democracy while majority continue to wallow in abject penury?
Aziz, you wanted to add something to that?
I mean, you mentioned social media in specific, and for me, what I see is that you have a lot of Nigerians on social media that when a disaster happens in Nigeria, there's a massive outcry on social media.
They rally around.
How the government is this, how the government is that, how, bad the country is. In actual fact, how many of those people have their PVCs? How many of those people come out on election day to actually vote? Because for me, the continuous thing that I've seen is that people will go on social media and rant about absolutely everything under the sun. But when it comes to carrying out their civic rights, going to the polling station, voting, and making sure your vote counts, they're doing something else on election day.
So how would you rate the socio-political consciousness among young people, old people, when it comes to, voter registration, actually voting, and when we vote these people into power, holding the leaders accountable? I
think the understanding that, looking at the population demographics of Nigeria, over 60% are 30 years and below. And if we go by average life expectancy, I mean, it is expected that somebody who is 30 years and below should live for longer than somebody who is 75, for example. Now, you need to understand that it's either you continue in this pain and suffering till you drop dead. I mean, our parents shouted up NEPA. Our elder ones shouted up NEPA. We're shouting up NEPA. Will our children also shout up NEPA? So we have a trajectory of problems. What we must do is understand, like he said, it's not just all the hashtags on social media, hashtag pray for Nigeria or $10 bridge fire incident. And we have issues that are facing us that we have to contend with. For example, there's a time bomb waiting to explode. You have trailers and tankers parked on our bridges that have been there for over a year. And we are saying hashtag, hashtag. When the bridge collapses, obviously it was created so that you can have vehicular movement or constructed for vehicular movement. If it collapses, we'll begin another hashtag. What we must do is begin to hold people accountable. The awareness that we understand, but we must be willing to go the extra mile, step up, speak out, and let our voices be heard.
So that's moving from an online to an offline situation in terms of taking action. So it's not enough for us to just go on social media to make noise and retweet and like. There has to be action. So I know you want to respond to that, but just hold on to your thoughts because we'll be going on a quick break. But please stay with us as Rubbin Mind continues after this break.